Alright, so here we are in the middle of our first pass making a bulldozer swale. You see I got the flags on my left and I got the blade tilted all the way to the left also. I'm side broadcasting all the black dirt, the topsoil onto this side of the mound, and what I'm leaving behind, as you can see, is a nice defined line of grass, and that will be the line I use to dig the ditch. I have the blade tilted slightly on an angle down that way, just so I can get that grass line first is the most important, because this is pretty much knocking the flags down, and as you can see I won't get all the topsoil on one pass, so I'm just gonna make this line, and then that line will stay the way it is, and you can see the grass line. So I can follow that through the entire digging process. Right now I want to push all the topsoil down the hill, even the topsoil that's actually going to be under the mound, so I can save it, because I can put it back on the mound, so something will actually grow on it. If you don't do that, you'll have a long process of making the subsoil into soil to get anything to grow on it, and I don't want to wait. And it doesn't take much longer to save the soil. So that's the first step, is taking the topsoil off, and you can kind of see how to make your digging line. Alright, I'm up here in the tree. I'm actually standing on top of the bulldozer. You can kind of see what it looks like after you strip off 2 strips of all the topsoil. So it'll be swale ditch, swale mound, and then we'll come back after the ditch and mound is built and put the topsoil back on. So really this is all you got to disturb to make a swale. And it looks like a lot, but once it's put together, it's not as disruptive as you might think, and it fills in with plants pretty quick. So you can see all the topsoil stripped off and put to the downhill side. Next we'll start digging the ditch, and I'm going to use this really good. I mean, you can see the red clay is really nice. I'm going to push a lot of that into my keyway, into my dam up there, under my dam, and we'll see if that doesn't help it to seal a little bit better. Enjoy! I just wanted to make a video of kind of what a field looks like when it's done. If you can see this further field here, those swales were dug a couple of months ago. You can see they just kind of stepped down the field at about 160 feet apart, and I just needed 3 of them to break that field up into nice usable paddocks. And the trees, the mounds are planted with trees. I did that this fall, so there'll be nice shade there eventually, which will help the grass to grow and the animals to get out of the sun, because the sun here in Tennessee in the late summer is brutal and it gets real dry. So the shade should help. And we're controlling where the shade is by planting only on the mounds. That's kind of what it looks like when you're done. And you can see this field too has the swales laid out. You can see what it's going to look like. So there'll be one here, and they just step down until the last one by the house. And it breaks the field up into 160-foot sections, which if you square that off ends up being about a 1/4 acre paddocks, which is what you want for rotational grazing. This paddock's slightly narrower than I would have liked, but it's just kind of dependent on where the pond ended up, because this is going to act as the spillway for the pond. But it'll work. I'll just make the paddocks a little bit longer, and that'll be fine. Enjoy! Okay, so I started digging the swale. Not because I wanted to dig the swale first, but I needed the material, the good clay, good clean clay here, which I slot dozed. I pushed it. I made this kind of slot, which is the swale ditch, and I shoved it all the way in to the pond, and I filled up the keyway and track rolled the heck out of it. Probably would have been better to have an excavator, a big one, that you could straddle the keyway with it, but I wasn't about to put my old backhoe across that, or on the banks of that 6 foot tall kind of unstable stuff and that would have been a recipe for disaster. So I just kind of put the clay in there and track rolled it back and forth a bunch of times. It squished down pretty good, and I put more on and then squished it and more on and so on until now it seems pretty stable. And this stuff is really not really wet, but it's like the perfect consistency. I mean, you could make a pot with it right now. You know, it's that kind of where it balls up and it's nice to work with. So the next step is to spread this kind of junky stuff, put it all the way in the back, and then I'm going to start bringing the dam wall up. And then after that's done, then I can finish off this swale and put the topsoil back on. So it's looking good so far. And you never know until they fill with water, though. You got to hope for the best, but be prepared for disappointment and waiting, you know. So, but we're gonna give it a whirl and see what happens. So enjoy. So before you dig a pond, you want to make sure we got the flag there marking the very back of the dam wall, and then we have a flag right there that I kind of ran over. I don't know if it's picking it up or not. Anyway, it's supposed to be right there. I can see it. And what I'm going to do is actually take those flags and move them and put them in the undisturbed grass at the top, just so I can visualize where the front and the back of the dam is, because there's no way that while you're digging you're going to be able to keep those flags where they're supposed to be. So if you put them up there and just visualize a straight line coming right through, you can get a pretty good idea about where you're at. And that way you're not making the dam way too big or way too small. So just a little tip. Alright, so here we are nearing about the height I want to reach. Those are just kind of loose piles on top right now, but you kind of get a feel for what it's going to look like when it's done. So it's kind of neat. The swale mound should line up kind of right on the top of the swale, at the top of the dam, I'm sorry. The swale mound will probably be around 3 feet, 2.5, 3 feet, and that's what we want for freeboard, which means there's going to be 2.5 to 3 feet of dam wall above where you allow the water line to be. And that's just a matter of safety and longevity for your dam, because if water was to ever go over your dam, it would quickly wash it away, and then all your dirt would be down in the next pond or in your neighbor's property or in the creek, or it would be a disaster. So you really have to be careful about your freeboard and your spillway. They're the most important thing of building a dam, because those are what can cause damage, property damage, danger. You know, if this whole thing was full and it let loose all at once, you know, it could wash someone away, or who knows what it could do. I mean, it could be bad. But you kind of see what I'm doing here. With you see the tracks for the bulldozer. Just digging down and pushing up. You know, right under the bulldozer is actually where the water line is going to be. And I like to leave it a little shallow, at least where I can. You know, it would be ideal if you could have it be shallow everywhere you enter, but we're just not in that kind of a country here. It's pretty hilly, so I'm doing the best I can to keep this side, the end, as it were, of the pond to be fairly shallow. You know, the water line is probably right about here, so you can see it just goes off pretty gently into the bottom, and it'll be a pretty deep pond. I mean, I'm pretty happy with what it's looking like so far, and hopefully it'll hold water. So I just got to get up the I'm just working on the freeboard now. This is about as deep as I want it, so I've just got to get enough material to get the freeboard. Another tip about this, in the middle of it, is you see where I put the flag to mark the bottom of this side of the wall. So we're right about here, and as you can see, that is kind of the bottom of the dam wall. And the goofy part about it is this part of the dam wall is actually, there's a triangle here, if you can picture it, of undug up earth. So actually part of the ground that was already there existing is actually part of your dam. So when you lay out your dam, you know, when I laid out the first flag, it was up here. you know, now we're way down to here, and it's actually part of the dam still. So I don't know, that kind of followed me up the first time. I just couldn't quite wrap my mind around it. So, but you can see how it works. And just a little bit more digging. This one didn't take very long, but it's not a huge earthwork. So a little bit of rock in the bottom, but I'll probably take some of that shallow, because that's real nice clay up there. When I'm done getting this bowl all dug out, and it's rocky at the bottom, I'll probably take some of that clay and just kind of roll it in here to see if I can get it to seal even better, and we'll see if it holds water. So that's it.